Yeah, Mars specifically.
There is something about Mars that changes our entire attitude at that time. I know one person who point blank says they better leave Mars alone. Leave it alone.
Meaning leave it alone, don't talk about it, or meaning don't go there?
Don't go. That they're waking something up.
On Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're still a psychic when
Sure.
you say, okay. So you must have some thoughts or associations with Mars. Are you willing to talk about that? I mean, because I know that you said that you develop headaches sometimes after these talks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where you reveal and kind of go back in your own mind as to your history.
I'm having a good one right now. Headaches are part of the conditioning.
Sure.
Okay, it's a headache, but it's a fake headache. It's a programmed headache.
I'd like to know if you see special machinery.
Yes,
Okay.
it's underground.
Uh-huh. And have you seen any certain kind of beings there?
Yes, they're in stasis.
It's like a kind of artificially induced hibernation.
Thank you.
And is that, it's not humans that are in that state?
No.
It's the beings.
And they're very tall. They have long features.
Do they look like the Egyptian
Quite
believers?
a bit.
Okay.
Quite a bit.
Talk a lot about anger in the recent interview that I saw that you've got, I guess, on your site.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little about that? Can you describe the anger, how you deal with it?
There was, at one time, it was pure rage. When these memories came back, and when I sat down and I started putting together all the things that, starting at 6 years old, all the things that was done to me, things that I was forced to do, etc. It was pure rage. You know, my first impulse was to go to D.C. and just go nuts, okay? Well, as the old saying goes, I'm crazy but not stupid, okay? And as a fighter, I was trained, channel your anger. Don't let your anger channel you. Mm-hmm. And that's what I started doing. So I took, instead of just being so mad I can't do anything, I turned that anger to being so mad I want to do something. And I've stayed that way.
So is that why you started writing books?
No, actually I started writing as just kind of my own therapy, just to get it out. Mm-hmm. And I had never written anything. And somebody read some of it and said, this is pretty good, you need to keep it up. And so I did.
And now you've got a book coming out, isn't that right?
Yeah, Deadly Awakening. It's about everything we've talked about here, plus all the side streets that we don't have time to go up. It's supposedly going to be turned into a movie. Okay, that totally caught me off guard. So.
Well, that's wonderful. You know, that's very exciting.
In terms of telling your story to a wider audience, what would you like to result from that?
I would like to see enough people wake up to march on Washington and say these projects stop and hold the people accountable. Okay, there's not going to be class action lawsuits. There's not going to be prosecution. That's fine. You know, I got over that years ago. Everybody else involved needs to get over that. Just hold them accountable and stop it. Okay?
Do you think this is still continuing this day?
Yeah, absolutely I do.
Do you have any information about in what form these projects are continuing?
I
remember
think
you said that in the 60s there were 1,000 kits, of which
there were
there were only 60 left.
In 1966, there was supposed to have been 1,000 that were taken worldwide that was in my group, as it were. There's only about 20 of us left now. You know, I think what I have to explain, we were actually at 6, 7 years old put in survival of the fittest. Okay, our personalities were split. Any normal kid, any normal person would not do the things that we did in their right frame of mind. So they had to split our personalities, and they had a clean slate with that new personality. Had no rhyme, no reason, no right, no wrong, no concept. So they made it into what they wanted it to be. This is how they split my personality. Now, I don't know, I'm sure they did the same identical thing to other people, but I know for a fact not to each one. There were different techniques for different people, different kids. Now, the way it was described to me when I was a kid is it's your treatments, almost medical terminology. Imagine being 6 years old, and this is one of the funny things. I can talk about this with very little emotional because it was done to me, not something I did to someone else. You're strapped naked to a wooden chair. Arms out like this. Here, you're strapped here, here, and here. Your fingertips are spread open. Things are inserted here. So you can't do this. And I know you noticed, because I saw it in your mind and I saw it in your eyes, I have a phobia about my fingertips. What they did is they inserted needles underneath the fingertips. That's bad enough. Hook those needles up to electric current and turn it on. Waterboarding is where you basically drown the person and then bring them back. In my case, they did 2 ways. Strapped to a chair and would take a water hose and just spray it. You can't breathe, and then you're gone, and they bring you back and all that. And then I remember having my head dunked. That's why I don't swim.
Now, what would be the purpose of that?
To cause pain, intense pain. What happens when the body and the psyche goes through the amount of pain it can tolerate, you black out. You pass out, you faint. Well, the Germans brought over a drug with them. Once injected, it blocks those receptors. You can't black out. You can't even force yourself to faint. So once the psyche has gotten to a point to where it cannot take any more, you have 2 choices. Split off into another personality to save yourself, or die.
Okay. Okay, I understand. When the pain becomes too much, the way you're able to survive and stay together mentally is actually to go someplace else.
Exactly.
And you go so far someplace else that you're actually in another, creating another part of you.
Exactly. You create a total separate individual to where they can pull out that alternate personality. Now, 1 second I'm me, next second I'm somebody else. Now I'm back to me. That's how they wanted you.
Have you seen Manchurian Candidate?
No.
You never saw that?
No.
Okay. Well, if I refer to that movie, I don't know if you know what I mean, but...
I know what the Manchurian Candidate is, yeah.
You know what it's about. Yeah. Okay. Is it possible that you could be activated by a phone call, say?
The last time that I did a job, that's what it was. I got a phone call in the middle of the night. Can I be activated now? I do not think so. They burnt the chip out.
Okay. Do you think it's a tone? Do you think it's words? I mean, do you have any idea what it is?
I think it's a combination, and I think it's more than one. There's, in order to open a combination safe, you've got to have a combination, which is more than one number. So I think what they did, they set up, you have to have a system of checks, balances, and fail-safes, to where if you're watching TV and all of a sudden you hear the correct word or whatever, you freak out, kill everybody. Then you will start seeing this happening everywhere. There has to be a fail-safe to keep that from happening. So I've always thought that it's a common